Good morning, everybody. This is Jeff, and welcome to another edition of Zoom Karaoke. This isn't really Zoom, but we're here today with my good friend and our church organist, Bruce Wilkin. We're delighted that you're here today, Bruce, and we're just going to get to know you a little bit more. First of all, I need to tell you that Bruce proudly takes the title of organist, as he should, because this is a magnificent and complicated instrument, and we rely on him so much. But he's not just the organist here. He's a ministry assistant, directs the handbells, assists me with youth choir, goes on trips with me around the world and around the country, and all those are wonderful things. But there's a lot that goes into Bruce's job here at First Baptist Church. So let's go ahead and start, Bruce. Tell us how long you've served here at First Baptist Church.
Well, I've been here longer than half of my life. This is my 37th year as organist.
37th year. That's a wonderful tenure, one of the longest in our church.
Sure.
So tell us from the beginning, how did you fall in love with the organ, the instrument, the organ?
I don't know that there was a specific thing, but I do remember that there were several organists at the church that I grew up in, Sayville Methodist Church on Long Island, and one of them was an elderly lady who had been there for a long time, and she just always was encouraging. And then there was a lady that followed her that was kind of an up-and-comer, very good musician. But the one that affected me most was a man by the name of Charlie Van Scoik, and he was the band director in the town that the church was in. And he was a teacher, and he was the organist. He wasn't the greatest organist in the world. In fact, I remember visiting one time many years later, and he was still making the same mistakes on the same hymn, and I remember that. But it was because he had been so influential in just encouraging without saying, "Come on, get with it." I would always go up to the organ during the postlude, and he would let me play the lowest notes or the end of the note.
That's all right.
And he would stay after church. My parents were on the finance board, so they had to count the money afterwards, and he would stay until we left.
I want to ask you about another very tender subject, is that your calling. This is a very special story.
Well, when I became a Christian when I was in 6th grade. Our pastor led those of us who were interested in a confirmation class, if we wanted to accept Jesus as our Savior, that he led us through a prayer. But it had been part of our lives for a number of years, and we had been learning about the book, through the book called Practicing the Presence of God, which is a thing I think written by Brother Andrew.
Yeah. And
that was mainly what we believed that God was all about. It was not just this, well, you say you believe, you go to church, you do this. It was about the every moment thing in your life. Mm-hmm. And I think it wasn't so much that we were, it wasn't so much that there was this, you're going to be a teacher and an organist. It just evolved out of the way the Lord was living in our lives. Mm-hmm. And in my life. And then the organ thing came up. I remember, I think in 3rd grade, that I knew I wanted to be a teacher. Okay. But the organ thing, I think, had a lot to do with Charlie Mann.
Okay.
So.
Awesome. So let's go back to that time where, all right, you're in front of your first congregation. You're playing your first hymn. How old were you?
I was 17.
17.
It was January 1st of 1967. So I learned, I think the first hymn I played was Holy, Holy, Holy. So.
Did you play it? Can you reenact that 17-year-old Bruce?
Hopefully not.
All right, well, let's do it. there's a story that I've heard and Darren's heard, and everyone would be interested. We just call it the accordion story. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, when I was young, we didn't have money for a piano, and the organ wasn't available at that time. So my mom's cousin was a professional accordionist. She played with a band. She was very good. And so they asked me if I wanted to learn how to play the accordion, and I figured, okay. And I actually took lessons on it. But what I really wanted to do was to play the organ. So what I used to do when I was by myself or my parents had gone on an errand or something is I would lay the accordion on my lap with the keyboard right here and put my foot in the bass strap and pump it and then play it.
Oh, my goodness.
Basically, I was a dork. Just like still.
His words. I know what kind of music you like. Tell us what songs or what hymns, what resonates with Bruce Wilkin.
Well, Joyce Jones used to say when they'd ask her what organ she liked most, she would always say, the one I'm playing. And I'm kind of the same way about playing and favorite songs. I love the piece I'm playing. I think the thing I like most is when I'm playing a hymn and the congregation is singing their guts out, for lack of a better word, but, just fully involved. To me, that's what ministry is about from here, is leading and getting people to want to sing, both from the majestic part of it and the soft part and the in-between. And I'm using my hands too much.
And I feel like Bruce and I are kind of teaching a conference here today, but I would say that's a great gauge when we evaluate worship. How did the congregation sing? Did they sing? I mean, it takes a lot to lift your voice, and these days we don't get to lift our voice that much. So, why don't you play something you want to play, something that you enjoy playing, one of your favorites?
Okay. How about I play the first piece I remember that Mr. Van played, and that was my favorite.
Just don't play wrong notes.
Oh, yeah.
Bruce, we've traveled around the planet, had the honor of serving and playing and singing in magnificent places all over the place. Most memorable, because
I have to say the most memorable is sitting right here. But of all the places that I've played, I think the cathedral in Belfast, which was St. Anne's, the organ was on the side of the chancel, and all the pipes were right in front of me up above. And it was just, the room was amazing, but it was just so cool to be able to play an instrument like that. It was in tune, it worked well, everything you wanted it to do did.
So here we are, First Baptist Church, Aeolian Skinner organ. Tell us a little bit about this.
This organ was put in 1964, so it's 56 years old. Our former pastor, Dr. Hogan, used to call it the Cadillac of organs, which it was. It was the standard, not this one, but the company was the standard for the American classic organ building style, which is still very extant today. It has 64 ranks of pipes or sets of pipes, which are each 61 notes in each rank. So there's 3,900 pipes upstairs in this organ. And it's worked so well. We renovated part of it in 2008, mainly for the combination action that works all these buttons, these pistons. And our next project will have to be re-leathering it. But it's for 56 years with leather that's micro inches thick. It's proved its worth long term.
Well, as we get towards the end of our interview, while we're not thinking of retirement, I mean, I do sometimes.
Well, remember, I've done this once already.
You have retired
from school, and now I've been 17 years after retirement.
How do you know when that's when is that time?
Well, I was trying to think. I think I've always jokingly said I'd like to die in the middle of a hymn on a Sunday morning.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Not.
No, I think I've never been nervous playing in a worship service, ever, unless I didn't practice enough. But I think when I start realizing that I'm nervous playing and probably don't trust that I'll do the right thing, I mean, you do that to some degree anyway, just because you're human. But I think the nervousness thing, and I also think going back to the beginning, the practicing of the presence of the Lord, I think it will be obvious because of the way that He's done in my life all along. So,
well, this has been an awesome interview, and so we want to thank Bruce, and on behalf of the staff and the congregation, we're grateful for
but
your
and
service.
also that goes both ways. That's the beauty of the whole situation.
This is really easy. This is just joy.
It's living.
It's living. It's joy. So we're grateful for the fake Zoom karaoke today. As we wrap up, I've asked Bruce if he would play the toccata on Hymn to Joy. It's the very one that was performed in Belfast at St. Anne's Cathedral and here at First Baptist Church and many, many other places. But so you enjoy that as Bruce plays for you today.